All right, so we're diving deep today into morning routines.
Yeah.
And we've got this guide that we're going to be taking apart here
Okay.
called The Morning Routine Nobody Told You About.
Right.
And, everyone and their brother's got a morning routine these days.
It seems like it.
But this one seems like it might have some fresh takes.
Yeah, it does.
So I'm pretty curious to see what they had to say.
Yeah, me too. I think,
Is it just the same old drink lemon water and meditate?
yeah. Is it all just kind of like, or is there
Instagram wellness stuff.
Exactly.
I will say, like, one of the things that really stood out to me about this guide
Okay.
was that it really emphasizes personalizing your routine.
Okay.
Like, rather than just kind of like following some like pre-prescribed, like one size fits all kind of thing,
Yeah.
which I thought was really refreshing.
Yeah, because so much of like the morning routine hype, I feel like, is,
Yeah.
all these like super productive, early rising CEO types. Right. It's like the 5 a.m. club,
Yeah.
which this guide actually kind of pushes back on that
Interesting.
a little bit.
Yeah.
And one of the things that it dives into is this whole concept of chronotypes,
Okay.
which is basically like whether you're naturally a morning person or a night owl.
Oh, right. Right.
And,
Yeah.
if you're someone who's like constantly hitting the snooze button and feeling groggy all morning,
Yep.
you might actually be fighting your natural
Oh,
chronotype.
that's interesting.
Yeah.
I've definitely felt that.
Yeah.
So is there like a way to
Yeah.
figure out what your chronotype is besides just like,
Well, I mean, there's
do I like mornings or not?
right. The most basic test is, are you a morning person or not?
Yeah.
But, there are actually some questionnaires you can find online,
Okay.
different things like that.
Yeah.
But like a simple way to kind of start figuring it out is just to kind of pay attention to your natural energy peaks and dips throughout the day.
Yeah.
When do you feel most alert?
Yeah.
When do you feel kind of like,
Sluggish.
yeah, more sluggish? And once you have
Yeah.
a better sense of that, you can kind of adjust your wake up time accordingly.
Interesting.
Even shifting it by like 15-minute increments
Okay.
can sometimes make a difference.
So instead of forcing myself to wake up at 5 a.m.,
Right.
I should aim for like
Exactly.
when I feel like I would
More
naturally be awake.
Yeah.
Okay, got it.
So then once you're up,
Uh.
the guide is really big on like rehydrating first thing in the morning.
Okay, so just drink a glass of water.
Yeah. That classic advice.
I mean, it makes sense, but
It does.
does it really?
I mean, it's actually more important than you might think.
Really?
Because when you wake up, you've gone all night without drinking any water.
Right.
And so you're actually pretty dehydrated.
Yeah.
And dehydration
Yeah.
can actually shrink your brain temporarily.
But it shrinks your brain.
Well, temporarily.
Okay.
So it can impact your focus and your decision making and all that.
Okay.
And one thing that they recommend in this guide
Okay.
is actually adding like a pinch of sea salt to your water.
Oh, I've never heard that.
Yeah, it's kind of an interesting little tip.
Yeah.
And the reason for that is that salt helps your body absorb the water better.
Okay.
And it also helps replenish electrolytes.
Ah,
If you lose throughout the night as well.
Okay.
So that's kind of a cool little takeaway.
Yeah, I like that one.
And then, another thing that this guide talks about is incorporating movement
Okay.
into your morning routine,
Yeah.
which I know you're a big fan of.
Well, yeah. I mean, I like to go for a walk,
Yeah.
but I'm not like a hit the gym kind of person in the morning.
Right.
So that counts though, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah. Anything that gets your blood flowing is going to be beneficial. And it actually kind of ties back to that whole dehydration thing too,
Right.
because movement helps to kind of combat that, and it boosts your circulation,
Sure.
which, brings more oxygen to your brain and helps with mental clarity.
Makes sense. Yeah.
And, I find that even just like a short walk in the morning
Yeah.
completely changed
me
my
go on.
energy levels and my mindset
Oh, for sure.
for the whole day.
All right. So
Yeah.
moving on to something that I
Okay.
kind of have a love-hate relationship with,
Okay.
which is meditation.
Yeah.
This guide suggests spending even just 5 minutes on it.
Yeah.
And
It doesn't have to be a ton of time.
I've tried, I've tried like the apps and stuff,
Yeah.
but I have a really hard time quieting my mind,
Right.
So
Yeah.
do you have any advice for people who
Yeah, well, I think
are just starting out and find it really difficult?
meditation can definitely be really tricky at first. And I think the key is really just finding a style that works for you.
Okay.
You know, like not everybody's going to connect with every type of meditation.
Right.
And one thing that I find is really helpful for beginners especially
Okay.
is guided breathing exercises
Okay.
because they give you something really tangible to focus on.
Right. Yeah.
You know, like you're not just trying to clear your mind, which can feel
Yeah.
really abstract and kind of impossible.
Yeah.
But you're actually like paying attention to your breath
Yeah.
and like counting your inhales and exhales and that kind of thing.
Okay.
And even just like a few minutes of that like deep conscious breathing
Yeah.
can have a really noticeable calming effect.
Okay.
So I would definitely recommend trying that.
That's a good point. Yeah.
Yeah.
I tend to overthink it, I think, when
Yeah, I think a lot of people do.
I try and meditate.
It's easy to get in your head about it.
Exactly.
All right, so
Okay, so moving on to breakfast. I'm guessing this guide is not
Well,
advocating for like a big bowl of sugary cereal.
no, not exactly.
Okay.
It really emphasizes
Yeah.
the importance of choosing nutrient-rich options
Okay.
that are going to give you sustained energy throughout the morning.
Got it.
So instead of those sugary cereals that kind of spike your blood sugar and then
Right.
lead to a crash later,
Yeah.
they recommend going for breakfasts
Okay.
that have a low glycemic index.
Low glycemic index.
Yeah.
Remind me what that means.
Yeah, so basically the glycemic index refers to how quickly
Right.
a food raises your blood sugar level.
Right.
So foods that have a low glycemic index
Okay.
release sugar into your bloodstream more slowly,
Got it.
which helps to give you that sustained energy and keep you feeling fuller for longer.
Right. Right. So what would be
Yeah.
some examples of that?
Yeah, so some good examples of low glycemic breakfasts
Okay.
would be things like you could do like a savory oatmeal with maybe like a poached egg and some spinach.
Oh.
Or you could do like chia seed pudding
Yeah.
with some berries and a dollop of Greek yogurt.
Okay.
Things like that where you're combining
Yeah.
protein and fiber and healthy fats,
Right.
which all digest more slowly and help prevent that mid-morning energy crash
Okay.
that you can get from those sugary breakfast options.
Yeah, those actually sound a lot more appealing than a
Yeah.
bowl of cereal anyway.
They can be really delicious and satisfying.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
And then finally,
Yep.
this guide really emphasizes the power of setting intentions for the day.
Okay.
And they pose this really simple but profound question,
Right.
which is, how do I want to feel today?
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's really powerful just
Yeah.
to kind of take a moment
Yeah.
to reflect on that.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of people can relate to this
Yeah.
feeling of like being so rushed in the morning.
Ah.
You know, you're barely remembering to grab your keys,
Yeah,
let alone,
it's like set an intention for the day.
How do I make time for that?
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
it doesn't have to be this like lengthy,
Right.
elaborate process.
Yeah.
You know, even just like 30 seconds
Yeah.
of consciously thinking about how you want to approach your day
Okay.
can make a huge difference.
Okay.
And you can kind of incorporate it
Yeah.
into an existing part of your routine.
Okay.
Like while you're brushing your teeth or
Yeah.
having your
Yeah.
coffee or something.
That's a good point.
Yeah, just little things like that can make a big difference.
I mean, it's really all about just
It's all about finding those little tweaks that work for you.
making small changes that
Yeah.
actually make a difference.
It doesn't have to be this like massive overhaul of your entire life. It's just about finding what works for you.
And I think that's a good takeaway for everybody listening.
Well, just
It's
little
like,
about what works for you.
there's no one right way to do this.
Okay.
Right. And if you could
Yeah.
design your ideal morning,
Yeah.
like what would it look and feel like?
I love that. I
Yeah.
love that question.
And what are some small changes
Yeah.
you can make to start moving in that direction?
That's a great question
Yeah.
to leave everybody with.
So think about what would make your mornings feel more energizing,
Yeah.
more fulfilling,
Yeah.
and more aligned with your goals.
I love it.
And then just experiment with those small changes.
Yeah, awesome.
You might discover a whole new way to start your day.
Well, thanks for joining us for this deep dive into morning routines.
Of course.
And we'll see you next time.
Sounds good.
All right, take care.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Bye.